Ladies and gentlemen, this is Willie Cuz, and welcome to the Battleship New Jersey. At the beginning of August, I took a trip to see the Battleship New Jersey, which is now a museum ship docked in Camden, New Jersey, which I guess is kind of an unfortunate location if you know the geography. Now, I have been to this ship many times, especially as a Boy Scout where we would sleep on board overnight. The reason I went this time is because they were having an event to celebrate the anniversary of the Japanese surrender and the end of World War II. I went with my buddy Clay, and we were both very excited for this event because they were going to be firing the 5-inch guns and the Quad 40 Bofors anti-aircraft guns. With blank rounds, of course. I assure you they did not fire on the city of Philadelphia. Now, I believe this is the anchor room. Yep, I'm right.
Oh, there's the engine down there. Ear protection required. Oh, no, that's not the engine out there.
Definitely some boilers down there, probably.
Yeah. We're going to actually be able to go into the engine room.
Those guys are probably the last people who were on watch here.
Yeah, this is the general quarters.
Yeah, she was here in the 90s and 80s for sure.
Oh yeah.
They were still active then. That's gold right there.
How do you play checkers? I don't remember.
You can only move like one.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Clay, try to squeeze in there.
Was it the top one or the bottom?
I don't care, whichever one you want. Both probably.
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's see. Get in your rack.
Well, ain't no way I'm getting up there.
Get in your rack.
What do I have to do?
Just roll in, dog.
I have to low crawl on my back.
Lights out.
This ain't it.
Hell yeah, that's your sleeping setup for God knows how long. Damn. Oh shit, that's gonna be... Yeah, it's really hard. Here you go. That's how you do it. Oh shit, battle stations. Dropping her down the wishing well.
Oh, just barely.
Missed the bucket, huh?
Just barely missed it.
Firefighter station.
I don't think she's been made a mission yet.
Who, the sub?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she hasn't made a mission yet.
This wall was apparently created during a reunion where they had a whole bunch of people who served on the ship come on back and write their names, and you can see they wrote the years they served on the ship. Some said what they were doing. You got a guy there who says he was the original first crew. Alright, ring me up a pack of Marlboro Lights there, bud.
I mean, some of this stuff seems too new, though, I will say.
It's well, yeah, I mean,
Like
some
those Barber Salt, the Old Spice stuff.
Yeah,
well, actually, I don't know. That might
but
be.
You know what?
Look at the old symbol.
Well, what I'm saying is, you got to think it was
also 80s, yeah.
active in the 90s.
Second level by the second gun.
Oh, so it's on deck. Tool room. Def any second though. Yep. So these decks worked as insulation before they had air conditioning, and the wood is predominantly only above the crew berthings so that the sun doesn't just cook the metal and all the sailors sleeping down below.
It is a capture.
Yep.
Oh.
What tipped you off?
So
Limited to the size of the package they could send home. And the 98K was
too long.
too long. But they said, hey, let's take the action out. We'll put in the barrel. We'll put it back here. All good. Still too long. The stock. So what they realized is if we cut the stock up front here, and we take the barrel and action out, this piece of stock will stay with it. And now it's short enough to send home.
Yeah.
Right. He cut it at an angle.
Yeah.
Because now there's more surface area for it to grab up. A lot of times you see them just go straight up and down. 11 and 18.
They are nice. They're very fun.
Now I just need somebody to build reproduction Pedersen devices. Because
Yeah, how much headspace you got here now?
None. General quarters. General quarters. This is the proposed USS Montana.
Holy
Someone made a model
Jesus.
of it.
How about that picture, Clay? Guess this was more officers' quarters.
Yeah, you can tell because I have space.
Oh, he was reading about Waterloo. No kidding. Watch your head there, boss.
Yep. That's why I'm holding on to it. They put this here for guys like me.
Yep. Oh shit. I think the ghost of Admiral Halsey's trying to send us a message right now.
Yeah, right. Press the fire mission on Billy Cuz's house.
Oh, there's the 80s stuff.
December 1st, 1952, to April 30th, 1952.
So, chemical alarm. Now we're talking, Clay. We're in our quarters now.
Here we go.
Oh yeah. Getting mine for chow, boys. Yup, this is the mess hall where we stayed in Boy Scouts. They had this running and actually serving food. And they had Final Countdown playing on all the TVs. Like that one over there. Turn in your dishes when you're done eating. Now that's a dishwasher right there. Yeah, that's what this is all controlling. It's the newsroom or something.
No, and here's the actual recording though.
Yeah, I know. That's like backstage broadcasting in that other room. But yeah, look at this. I guess they would have like shipwide news in the 80s and stuff.
These programs where the wire tape would be run through the site television system.
Watch your head in here.
Yeah.
It is a cold, wet autumn on the Italian front. Our armies here, after crashing through the German siege line, have been
What is our status?
It's nothing on the radar, sir. I just got a call from the Jap, sir. They want to surrender.
Prep the launch keys. We may have a situation on our hands.
Aye, sir.
Dear God, it's a message from the president. Turn your key, sir. We're really going to war, boy.
Missile away, sir.
Tracking. Missile is approaching target.
Oh shit, we might have gone too far, Clay.
Reporting for duty, sir. I'm afraid it's the Japs, sir. Yes, sir. It's not looking good.
Now that's the best seat in the house. This is one of the areas they'd steer the ship from, and you can see it's nice and cozy behind all this armor plating.
I think they noticed it, so there's just a big sweat spot.
Oh, you disgusting.
That could be Brian though, so. What? They've been sweat swatches.
How do you go up and down, Brian? You don't have to. Damn, that's to catch all their backblast. Shut up. I'll go whatever way I want. Now we're talking. Clay, I just got word from command. We're firing. Load the guns. That is one cramped firing position.
Can't really get pictures in here. It's so tight.
Yep. Look, you load the shells in there.
Our main function here was
Machine shop.
Repair or rebuild anything that broke on the ship. Our capabilities were very large. We could handle some large valves, large pumps. We would rebuild pumps and valves, shafts, and
Yeah, he said shaft. Oh damn, dude, this rail. You see this yellow rail? This is probably for like.
It's for heavy stuff.
Yeah, for like ferrying stuff down the whole shop.
They connect it on top.
I'm using it to move some heavy stuff right now.
Yeah, you're
Diesel generators, you got water evaporators. I forget how many thousand valves are on the ship. All these have mechanical parts that break. If a pump shaft were to break, or just get worn, it would pull a piece of stock.
It is wild that people live. I mean, there are just bunks in the most random spots. Oh, a little dentistry going on here.
But this is my wing down this way.
Yep. There you go. Look at all that. Not too shabby. The waiting room.
We worked a lot of the crew. We covered anchorage of information.
Down to the engine room. Eyes up.
There's a big fucking hatch, dude.
Yeah, you don't want that thing dropping on your head, that's for sure. Imagine they use these rails to move whatever you need, ammo, you name it. Yeah, this whole thing is the turret. Medical labs.
USS New Jersey was a formidable battleship. In addition to her big guns, she also had a full-service on-board hospital with inpatient and outpatient services.
One of the little-known historical facts concerning the USS New Jersey's medical space is the fact that we're the only warship that has a whirlpool.
You notice the emergency lights in case they were doing operations on people and like the lights went out or there was like they were under attack. X-ray room.
And there was no way to get me out of that mechanism until a fellow that was my bunkmate, a big fellow named Johnson out of Texas, came down physically and picked up a couple of projectiles and moved them away so they could get me out of the predicament I was in. From there I was taken up to the sick bay and I was operated on for like a 9-hour stretch aboard the ship out at sea by Dr. Henry. And who actually saved my life.
The medical department is dedicated to conserving the health and welfare of the brave heroes who fought to preserve
Pharmacy.
peace and freedom through any political life. You will now walk within your spaces so that you can experience these incredible moments for yourself. Enjoy the rest of your tour.
More tight squeezes. Close quarters. Someone's office. Medic!
Corman.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Come on. Come on, man.
My fault, shipmate.
And each deck holds approximately 212 6-inch projectors. If you do the math, this works out to 424 in each turret, but give or take a few shells depending on the year, the day, or even the weather. So, the two primary types of ammunition our 6-inch guns could fire. were the high explosive shells, which were painted green, and the armor-piercing shells, which would be painted black. The brownish tint on the deck that you see here is because this has had 50-odd years of oil soaking on it. The oil helps move the shells around. Now, the outside ring does not move at all. That is fixed to the ship. This middle ring here will turn as the turret turns. So that's just straight to the port or starboard. This ring is rotating with it. This inside ring can turn independently. Just over there's a sailor with a hand control, and he can swing this basically carousel to the left or right to keep the shell hoists fed with the correct type of ammunition. We have 3 of these shell hoists, 1 for every gun barrel. You par-buckle the shell into the hoist, at which point a metal pawl will grab the base of the shell and lift it up to the gun house ready for firing and loading. Average rate of fire is approximately 1 round every 30 seconds. However, we generally wait for our shells to land, which could be about a minute, and then we make any adjustments accordingly. We have also heard our Vietnam veterans claim that we could fire 1 round every 20 seconds, but that is a very special condition that they call the rapid fire, and it could not be sustained for very long. So because turret number 2 sits physically higher than turret number 1 and 3, we have space for what is called a mezzanine deck where we're standing now. This holds an additional 120 shells and can be used to resupply turret number 2 above our heads, or send to turret number 1 or 3 as needed. The space that we're looking at now is the powder handling flat. Below our feet and beyond these walls would have been the actual powder magazines. Most of what the powder touches is made of brass. Each bag weighs 110 pounds, so it takes 660 pounds of powder just to fire 1 16-inch. So welcome to the forward artillery plotting room. The space where we're standing in would be used to fire the secondary battery, or our 5-inch guns. So our series of gun directors would send data down into this space. We would then input the data into these computers. These are electromechanical computers. You can see the inside of one on this picture right here. And then it's just a series of gears. So the men would take into account speed, range, bearing, altitude if we're firing an aircraft, because our 5-inch guns can do that. Put that data into the computer. The computer then spits out a solution. The array of barrel switches on the back wall there is basically a giant circuit board. You can cross-connect the circuit in various different ways to determine which gun mounts we want to fire, which gun directors we're getting data from, what computer we're using. It's really complicated and sort of difficult to explain, but just know you can turn these switches in various different ways to allow the guns to fire. Alright, if that's the case, let's go next door.
This fires the 16-inchers. Appetite.
So what we're looking at here is the Mark 8 range keeper. This is the computer that we would use to fire the 16-inch guns. Now, this is the original, built by the Ford Instrument Company in 1941. So they basically reworked the old one to work, and we use this all the way through the ship's career. This computer is just as accurate as any electronic computer from the 1980s. Inside, these series of gears will do literal calculus. It takes into account things such as the curvature of the Earth, the rotation of the Earth, the density of the air as the shell is traveling through its arc, and this is a mechanical masterpiece. So, this computer itself actually has a party piece. Our computer still works. So, let's set our target at 210 degrees, and we'll bring her speed down to 7 knots. So what this computer does is it will take all these variables into account and then get our solution. So this computer is also known as a range keeper. What this means is that older fire control computers, you'd put all this data in, you'd fire the guns, then you had to put all the data in again, and it got very annoying after about the 3rd salvo. So this computer initially takes 45 seconds, but every subsequent solution only takes 15 seconds. So working on the average rate of fire of 30 seconds, the computer has updated the solution twice before our guns are ready to fire. And then at which point our 16-inch guns are automatically controlled to this computer, so again they'll automatically train and elevate accordingly. And of course up top here we have your radar scopes for our radar guided fire control, so that'll give an accurate range and bearing to target. We just need to figure out everything else. This is what's known as the Mark 41 stable vertical. Now we can't just fire the 16-inch guns without having alerted the rest of the crew, because that'll be very detrimental for their health and hearing. So we have to alert the crew. To the rest of the ship this will sound like a proper alarm, but down here it just rings that bell. 3 pulls of the trigger will tell the rest of the crew that we're about to fire the guns. And then on the 3rd pull, we pull this one. Now that our guns have gone off, this ticker type here, installed in the 1960s, will start tapping out how fast our shells are going. Basically, a radar set is mounted on top of the turret, aimed at the barrels. So, on our speed of our shells should be about 2,500 feet per second. However, if we're only traveling at 2,000 feet per second because of bad powder, that is a variable plugged back into the Mark 8, and it can adjust the solution accordingly. Currently, our shells are still traveling through the air. Still going. That buzzer is to tell us that our shells have actually landed at the target. At our maximum effective range of 23 land miles, it can be upwards of 80 seconds from the time our shells leave the barrel to the time they actually land at the target. So, now let's talk about this trigger here. This one has dimples and it's called the pineapple. The dimples are there because if the space loses electric lighting, say you get thrown to the floor because of a shock, you can feel your way around and go, okay, I know this has dimples on it. Salvo key, fire key. Now, the ocean is never your friend. This trigger here, the electric impulse goes to a gyroscope mounted inside. The gyroscope's job, of course, is to remain perfectly level as the ship is rolling around. It'll wait until the ship rolls perfectly evenly with the ocean, automatically fires the 60-inch guns.
So this is the longest and widest passage on the whole ship. Probably goes like almost the whole length of it.
Originally, the battleship burned bunker C fuel oil. This is the heaviest and crudest form of refined oil, and had to be preheated to approximately 140 degrees in order to be burned in the boiler. However, in the 1980s, we were converted to run off of DFM, diesel fuel marine, and this didn't require all the necessary preheating that the bunker C did. Who wants to tell me how much fuel we can hold? I accept answers in both gallons and tons. He was closest. It is roughly 8,500 tons of fuel oil, which translates to 2.5 million gallons. We have the fencing rod with a marshmallow. So this end would be wrapped in rags and soaked in a flammable substance, generally kerosene or diesel oil. Take your Navy standard issue lighter, light the rags on the end of it to get the fire burning nice, then you shove this rod down into this red port right here. There's a similar red port on that side for the superheater furnace. Your red handle is your fuel flow. Burner is on, fuel is moving through. Burner is off, fuel is not. This black handle is your air door. Air door closed, air door open. It's important to have the correct ratio of fuel and air. As the fuel moves up and through this tube, it encounters this plate called the nozzle, which has 4 holes to restrict the flow. The nut on the end here will hold a sprayer plate. This will take the fuel from the nozzle and spray it out into a fine cone, at which point the air coming through the air door will atomize it so that it burns nicely. Come on. Stupid thread. Aha. And you can resume fuel flow through. So this is basically what all the fuel would be sprayed through, and this is basically your battleship carburetor jet.
Better watch your head in here, Clay. Watch your head.
Down in there and below your feet are the bilges where any excess water or other fluids would collect. And the top of the bilge that you see there is the top of the ship's triple bottom. So that is basically the bottom of the ship right there. So the triple bottom is a series of 3 plates that create 2 voids in between for the storage of liquids such as boiler water, drinking water, or salt water. So this is just basically one massive pump room to supply the boilers. So if this propeller shaft is only moving at 20 RPM down a river, sailors would try and ride it.
Oh my god.
They would literally get on, bear hug the shaft, and see how long they could last.
Seems like an easy thing to do.
Now, everyone tells you how they get on. No one tells you how they got off.
I imagine they ended down in the bilge most of the time.
Yeah. I don't think their backs appreciated it.
So you guys heard that right. That is literally the propeller's shaft, and it would be spinning if the ship's propeller was spinning.
We send the steam up and over the large crossover pipe down to the low pressure turbine here, at which point the steam expands a second time, generating even more power, before going down to the condenser to be turned back into water. Now, our big turbines like to spin at about 5,000 RPM at full power. However, our big 18-foot diameter bronze propellers don't want to spin that fast. That causes a lot of vibration and cavitation problems and doesn't actually move us through the water. So that's what this big gray thing is for. This is what's known as the double reduction gearbox. This is what, hold on, there we go. This is what the gearbox looks like from our perspective, which is why it's upside down. So the two turbines input here, going to the first set of reduction gears, then to the second set of reduction gears, out the back to drive the main propeller shaft. So at full power, 5,000 RPM goes in, and then 200 RPM comes out, which makes our big propellers much happier. With the way that the gears inside of this unit are built, something as small as the button on my shirt can damage or even destroy them. But if any more serious maintenance needs to be done, you would undo all the bolts with one of these cover sections here, then attach these chain hoists to the lifting eyes, at which point you would physically lift this cover up, and then someone can strip either down to their underwear or wear a protective set of coveralls, and they can shimmy their way inside and they can look at the gears and oil passages and see if there's any problems developing.
I hope you guys enjoyed this quick video of my visit to the New Jersey Battleship Museum during the World War II Victory Day anniversary. I'm definitely going to be taking more trips back to this battleship and maybe bringing better recording equipment to compensate for some of the shaky camera angles you guys probably saw, and maybe work on my audio suppression because there's a lot of noisy things going on while people are trying to talk, which I'm sure you noticed that too. Anyway guys, definitely leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll catch you guys on the flip side. God bless you all, and stay safe.